Hi guys, so this is our post-match debrief for the match that we had yesterday at the Amex Stadium, which didn't go according to plan. It was a 1-1 draw, as we all know by now. I'm trying to be philosophical about it, but I got to be honest, it's not easy. Here's the thing for me. And I've put this out there on social media, so any of you that follow me on Twitter and Facebook will know what I'm about to say. It was akin to a match at the end of the season where we needed 3 points to get football. As slim a chance as that may have been at that point, the post wasn't going to be enough. It wasn't. And for me, I don't understand. And don't get me wrong, I am a David Moyes fan. I think he's done a tremendous job. But I have to box that up. I have to park that when I'm talking about this individual match and say, okay, right, the rest of the season, let's just park that and let's just concentrate on this one match. And for this one match, we're 1-1. In the 84th minute, Ben Rama obviously gets the equaliser. 87th minute, excuse me. We went behind in the 84th minute. Danny Welbeck. Steve, hope you're well, mate. And Lawrence as well. And obviously, Peach, I saw yours. I put your comment up there. For the last few minutes, what would have been the harm, Odebeko? What would have been the harm in chucking on Yarmolenko? Taking off a more defensively minded player, like maybe Craig Dawson, maybe even Declan Rice himself. I mean, for me, towards the end of that game, he was blowing out his arse. At that point, you might as well just throw caution to the wind, mightn't you? Or am I missing something? So, yes, disappointed. Certain players I don't think turned up. I think Fornals frustrated the life out of me yesterday. He really did. He got into some good positions, but that flick in the second half, I was just like, no, not, that's not what you should be doing. And then later on, he had the ball on the right-hand side. Robert Sanchez was in all sorts of trouble, and all he needed to do was deliver a quality ball into an area where the goalkeeper couldn't get it. For one of our players, do something. Yeah, he floats the ball into the goalkeeper's hands. I was just like, no, I'm sorry, And listen, I like Pablo Fornals. I'm not a Pablo Fornals basher by default, but again, I have to call it as I see it. He did not have a good game. Neither did Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard, the last 5 games, I would suggest, has been a shadow of the player that he was in the first 8 or 9 games, whatever. That Jesse Lingard and the Jesse Lingard we've seen recently, 2 different players for me. 2 different players. The problem is that I don't think in the same way. And again, I'll just slightly dive off. And Michail Antonio. Now, I don't think Michail Antonio had a particularly good game. Just my opinion. You might disagree. That's fine. Not a problem. But in my opinion, I don't think he had a particularly good game. For me, he was drifting wide far too often. You want your central striker to be sort of like somewhere around occupying the sort of like the centre of the field, the third of the pitch. Drifting wide. Here's Duke. How you doing, mate? You're right.
Yeah, not bad, mate. Sorry I'm late. I've been trying to get ready for tomorrow for opening internally. So yeah,
that's right, mate. Got to sort of finish off the point I'm making, so because I've started, so I'll finish as Magnus Magnusson used to say. And obviously, if you want to sort of dive in and give me your thoughts as well, please do, Duke. But Antonio, so often he was drifting out wide, and it's like, you're the central striker, for goodness sake. And here's the problem. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever at the moment, Michail Antonio is undroppable. He is. Whether you agree with that or not, the fact is he is. If Michail Antonio is fit, if Michail Antonio is available, he hasn't been suspended or booked, or sort of like he's gone onto a suspension. Michail Antonio plays. whatever happens. Now, I don't think that's a healthy dynamic. I really don't. I think a healthy dynamic is every player knowing that if they don't perform in a given match, their position in the team is in jeopardy. Michail Antonio doesn't have that particular pressure on him. He knows he can just stroll around, and I'm not saying he didn't try, but just quality wise, he wasn't at the races yesterday, in my opinion. So Michail Antonio's in a position where he knows pretty much that he's not gonna. I'll just get rid of that one. That he's not gonna get dropped. That is not a healthy situation to be in. Ben Rama come on, and he had 28 minutes, I think it was roughly, and obviously got the equaliser. And I am hoping against hope that this is his Tevez moment. We had so long before he got that goal and Duke and I was on many streams. Those of you who've been watching us for a while will know many times we would say, we're going to win today, and Ben Rama's going to get his first goal. And he didn't. And he'd have good performances. He'd have not so good performances. He'd be in the team. He'd be out the team. He'd come off the bench. Whatever. Yesterday, he's got his goal. Brilliant. And a fantastic goal it was. The one thing he did in that goal that I'll give him an awful lot of credit for is that something that Michail Antonio doesn't often do is he's managed to score a goal from outside the penalty box. Michail Antonio, every time he has a shot from outside the box, it's going high, wide and handsome. Ben Rama yesterday got a fantastic goal from outside the box. Now, I'm hoping that by hook or by crook, harness that confidence that he has now got and say to him, right, mate, brilliant. You've got that first goal. You've got 2 games left of the season. Go out there, nail the starting berth, and then attack the summer, and let's see where you are in the beginning of next season. That's just my thoughts on it. I've rambled off for the last 8 minutes, Duke. Over to you. I think you might be on mute, old son.
95% of the game. No, I'm on mute. No, I'm here. I was just saying, I watched about 95% of the game last night, and I just think, Gatesy, I messaged you. I said I thought we looked toothless, and we did. Up until that final third, we did all right getting in there. I thought some of the play was nice going forward. We kept the ball well at times. And then there was nothing else that followed it. That final third was just really painful to watch. Like you said earlier, Antonio coming out wide, and at one point, I do believe he crossed where he and I won't use the words I used because the C word was not who's watching of the younger generation. But I did shout out that's where he should have been. You soppy. Yeah, that's one. You soppy careless is what I called him. Yeah. But it was frustrating to watch. I mean, listen, forget the so-called hate, Gatesy, again that you and me have been discussing with Milesy today. It's not hate, it's criticism. Criticism is allowed. It's not like you mentioned earlier. I'm not going to tell him I'm going around his house, I'm going to stab him up or anything like that. That's classed as hate. To tell him he's had a bad game, he's all well and good. And to tell him that the stats are not in his favour with regards to individual stats, then that's not hate, that's criticism. Now, don't get me wrong. Yesterday, I couldn't have been happier for the guy. I was sat in my bar hosting people. We've managed to get Sky back, actually, believe it or not. And I had it on the TV in the pub, and I went batshit. When he picked the ball up, my exact words were to myself, my missus, and the TV screen were, get it out of your feet and have a go, son. Those were my exact words. Get it out of your feet and have a go. And do you know what he did? He got it out of his feet, he looked up, and he let rip. And I tell you what, I went mental. I ran around my pool table. I punched one of the walls. I was ecstatic. And to be fair, there wasn't a lot to be ecstatic about yesterday, Gatesy. The play in general was poor. The football, we
kept possession well, and we moved it from back to front.
Yes.
But when we got it, in the final third, it was like, well, what do we do with it now? And it was just so more often than not, we took the wrong option, And as I said earlier, and I don't know whether you caught it, but Jesse Lingard was poor again, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I really am, because let's put it. Let me ask you something, Duke. On the basis of the last 5 performances thereabouts, would you suggest that Jesse Lingard has looked a £25 million player, in your opinion?
No, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that, because we can now go to United and go, piss off, I ain't paying that. Because if the truth be told, and as Gonzo on one of his videos mentioned it before, for all the time that Jesse was having a great game and was scoring goals, assisting goals, and everyone's banging on, oh, he's added a few million now to his transfer fee. Surely the same's now got to be said if he's having a poor game, that a few million quid are dropping off. I mean, like I just said, last 5 games he's not been amazing. Surely there's a couple of mil dropping off of that fee that he apparently put on when he had these good games, right? So,
do you think he knows that he's not staying? Do you think that maybe I'm just going to throw this one out there? Is it possible that he knew a couple of weeks ago that he's not staying next year, and that's why his performance levels have dropped, because he's now not playing for a contract? Something's been said. I'm not saying I know, but I'm just throwing it out there as
a contract. He's still playing for a contract, whether it's with us, whether he's going to be used as bait in the Jadon Sancho to Man United deal, whether he's going to be used in bait to that, whether he's going to be used in bait to try and tempt us to let Rice go next season if we don't finish in the top 8. Listen, he's playing for a contract regardless of where he goes. But I mean, I couldn't have put it better than what you put earlier, mate, when you turned around and you said that the fact that Antonio knows that there's no one to step in when he has an absolute shit
not
game.
Healthy.
And by shit game, I mean yesterday he looked woeful, and I mean woeful. It was painful to watch. I saw someone earlier.
I don't think he was the worst player, though. That's the thing. I don't think he was the worst player. I think Pablo Fornals was worse. And again, I stress, I am not a Fornals basher by default. I actually quite like Pablo Fornals. But I've got to call it as I see it. I think he was absolutely shocking.
But then you've got to ask the question why he was persevered with. I can't.
Oh my word! Look at this. West Brom 1-0 up at Liverpool. My day's just got better. My day's got better because we've just come back from my daughter's game of football, and my wife's in the car with me, and we heard that Tottenham won 2-0, and they've now jumped above us on goal difference. So I'm like in the car, I've got the missus next to me, and I'm like, oh, God, it's brilliant. That's just cheered me up. Only a fraction. Anyway, carry on, Duke. Sorry about that.
At the end of the day, no, I mean, Milesy mentioned it earlier, mate. I'm going to quickly scroll back. There it is. I'm just going to put a comment up.
Yep.
Everton did it to us. Everton did it to us. Everton let us have all of the ball, knowing that they were going to come at us and break us down. Everton out West Ham. And Brighton again last night did exactly the same. You know, I'll be honest with you, I didn't look at the possession stats, Gatesy, so if you've got those, fantastic.
I have got them, but I'll be honest with you guys. Normally I get up all the stats and all that lark. I'm having a few IT issues here, so I do apologise. I'm not going to be able to get all of the tiles up, so I'm just going to have to fill in any blanks by literally looking at it on my phone. And I know that the possession stats were fairly close. Brighton
what was
shaded
the percentage, Gatesy?
It was 52-48 in Brighton.
Sorry, I'm connected to the I'm connected to the pub Wi-Fi, so it's not great because I'm downstairs. Like I say, I'm trying to. If you could see, I'm taking tables apart as we speak. Me,
Yeah,
your
just
boy,
looking
and a
here,
couple of
right.
the others are
The tail
taking
of the
tables
tape.
apart and screwing.
The tail of the
Cool.
tape, ladies and gentlemen. As I say, I'm having some IT issues here, so I'm gonna have to retape. Brighton, 10 shots, 2 on target, 52% possession, 595 passes, 85% pass accuracy, 7 fouls, 1 yellow card, 0 red, 0 offsides, 3 corners. West Ham, 15 shots, 3 on target, 48% possession, 552 passes, 85% pass accuracy, 5 fouls, 0 yellows, 0 reds, 2 offsides, 3 corners. Pick the bones out of that, ladies and gentlemen. And you're right, I agree. I think that when you look at the last couple of games, the concern for me is that the teams that have beat us have all pretty much done it by using the same blueprint, if you will. Now, do you actually think that Big Sam's not going to do a similar thing, especially if they actually go to Anfield and pull it off, which at the minute they're 1-0 up, so...
Listen, it don't matter, does it? At the end of the day, they're down, regardless. So now, if they go there and do us a favour, fantastic. Brilliant.
I think
dear.
Is your internet being a bit...
I'm using the pub internet, mate, and because I'm downstairs at the minute, and the kids are watching films upstairs using that, so it's diabolical at the minute.
Yeah, not good. 20% shot accuracy, Capel. Yeah, you're right. I'll tell you what. I've also... Right, okay, here you go. Putting a little bit more meat on the bones, ladies and gentlemen. Brighton, 10 shots, 1 goal, conversion rate 10%. West Ham, 15 shots, 1 goal, conversion rate 6%. Now, I would suggest that is markedly worse from where we've been earlier this season, when we've had probably, for the most part, around about 35% possession, but we'll make chances, decent chances at that, take an awful lot of them. Our conversion rate has been probably about 20%, 30% on some games, and that's the best we could manage against a team that had nothing to play for. I'm just going to bring... Someone's just dropped into the green room. We'll bring him in.
Bring the man in.
He's always good value for money. Jazz, my friend. Hello. The Champions League dream has faded and died, my friend.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, I mean...
Champions League's gone, dude. Come on.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Gatesy, can we still mathematically qualify for the Champions League? Yes or no?
Right. Okay, in 4th position is Chelsea, 36 games, 64, right? We are on 59. We've got 2 games left to play. Right. So if Chelsea get one, if they get 1 more point, then we're not going to overturn their goal difference. Their goal difference will trump us. Now, do I believe that Chelsea will... Right. Chelsea need to get... Right. Is it mathematically possible? Yes. Is it realistically possible?
Still believe, regardless. Listen, I know what you're saying, but it's still mathematically possible. It's frustrating to think it could be, but it's still a chance, Casey. We still have that possibility. Chelsea have still got to play Leicester. Leicester beat them yesterday in the FA Cup final, which I couldn't have been more happy for. And honestly, I celebrated the offside goal like it was a goal.
Who's their last
game? Someone's shit, probably.
Do you know, Jazz?
No,
Chelsea got last game. Okay, I'll tell you what. Whilst Jazz, you tell us your thoughts on yesterday's match, and whilst you're doing that, I'll get Chelsea's last match, unless someone wants to do it in the live chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly, like I've said previously, if we'd brought in 2-3 players in January along with Lingard, we would have got into the top 4. The momentum we had, that was the time to add, and we didn't. And you can't expect sort of the manager to conjure up magic tricks with that squad we had, and we knew they're going to get injured. And going back to sort of what Duke's saying, unfortunately, the issue is when you look at the form table, your last 5 games, we're in the bottom 3, I think, looking at this morning.
Yeah.
So so when you're informed, then I would have said, oh, yeah, the momentum is with us, but it's not. We're going in reverse gear. So how we pick ourselves up and win those last, 2 games, I can't see it. And I've got no confidence in any other team helping us. But I know I don't expect any favours, but we haven't had any. And you saw Wolves today. They were pathetic. You've seen teams like Southampton. Palace is a weird team as well. I mean, they roll over half the time. They're not even trying. So I think we've only got ourselves to blame. And I think we know this momentum only comes to West Ham once in a decade. And whether we'll get another chance again next season, because you've got to think about Villa going to come back strong with more money in the summer. Leicester going to get stronger. Spurs, I doubt if they're going to finish any lower than that next season. They'll probably have a bit more money. It's going to get harder and harder. And we really had a good chance, We were kind of quite good form in January, and it's gone. And typical West Ham fashion, we're clinging on to 7th on goal difference. Everton are going to catch up this afternoon against Sheffield United. And the funny thing is, they're 6-7 goals poorer than us. And who's to say that they can't beat Sheffield United 5-6-0 this afternoon? It can easily happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we've been down here before, haven't we? I mean, it is what it is. And I just had a feeling it would happen. You've seen my interviews in some of the channels where we won, say, 2 months ago. And then someone's saying, Jazz, why are you still looking upset? I said, I still haven't recovered from the window, mate, because I really feel we've chucked it away. And I just don't know what to think. I just can't get that in my system. I know we're winning. We're still managing to get by week on week. But I just had a feeling
if we spend that 20 million quid on a half-decent striker, I'm not saying get Alan Shearer Mark II, but a half-decent striker that comes in and maybe between the back end of January, beginning of February, knocks in 5 goals. That right there is the Champions League, or at the very least 5th place. That's the difference, isn't it?
Another thing is, if we didn't have any money, or we didn't have enough money for David Moyes, I would have bought Anderson back from the loan from Porto. I would have bought him back in January. I would have sat him down like Dele Alli, have a word with him, put your arm around him, because I think every player needs something different, and we can't keep letting him sulk or suffer. There is a player in there, we know that. I think he scored 9-10 goals in that first season. Anything, just bringing back, and that would have been something. And just kind of look at other things like, I'm not sure keeping Snodgrass would have helped us that much. I don't know.
No, probably not.
Probably not. But I really would have tried my best, because I would have thought, God, we're on to hear something. We're on to something, Just bring in some bodies, You don't have to be world class, but at least some options on the bench rather than 2 goalkeepers there or a few youth players. Something in there,
yes.
and we're hanging on in there now, mate. And it was lethargic yesterday. Antonio, only 2 people were on the right wavelength in terms of pace and speed of thought. That was Bowen and Lingard. Everyone else wasn't on their level. Lingard was looking out, looking for it, but Antonio was on the halfway line, eating ice cream, having a cup of tea, catching the bus to get into the box. It's too late.
But Lingard's not been the same player, has he, Jazz? The last 5 games, he's not been the same player.
No, he's not linked up with Antonio. He's not gone anywhere near the penalty area, not been any threat. So I don't know what the instructions have been for him. Souček was a little bit careless in the first half, not quite getting in there. And everyone was just up and down. I mean, Brighton, they were there for the taking. No Dunk, no Mopé. I mean, come on, you got to beat these teams, No wins in 7 or 8 against these. Like, what the hell is it? What kind of voodoo sign have they got over us? And we just about got a point out of it. Going back to Benrahma, well done, really good goal. Great cross for Dawson. He put it on a plate to him and he absolutely made a mess of it. The only thing worrying me about Benrahma is he seems to be a good sub. So when we start him, he kind of fades early on. So I hope that doesn't happen to him, because now we'll say, we want Benrahma starting now. So I want him with the same intensity if and when he starts, because that is the worry. When he starts, we don't quite see the same. Then he comes off after 65. But as a sub, he certainly does make an impact, really. Yeah, but
there are some players that are like that, though, Jazz, isn't there? There's some players that operate better, and I said this a week or two ago, there are some players like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for example, and for those of you that are of a certain vintage, you'll remember the name David Fairclough of Liverpool. There are some players that are just not geared up for starting the match, but bring them on as a sub. Oh my word, they look absolutely world class. Maybe is he a player like that? I personally don't think he is. I personally think that, as I say, I'm like, please let this be your Tevez moment. Please let this be your Tevez moment. Because here's the thing, guys. We spent £25 million on this guy, and we gave him a 6-year contract. This has to work. It simply has to. No ifs, no buts.
The problem, Gatesy, is if he's not David Moyes' player. I mean, I don't know either way. Yeah, we can all guess. That's not good, because that means Sullivan again has stuck his finger in there when he shouldn't have.
True.
And then if David Moyes picks a 30 million player, then Sullivan's stuck because he's pushed 25 into the Benrahma deal, and then we're going to have the same issue again where David's going to say, "Oh, I don't want no one then," and it's going to be a big war in the summer. That's the worry.
Yeah. That is a concern.
The other thing
Duke,
is that So go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Duke, Benrahma, the goal. Do you think that this is his Tevez moment? Could this be?
If I'm honest with you, mate, more than anyone, and I mean this, more than anyone, I really, really hope so. He has shown some absolute glimpses of just this absolute talent, Gatesy. He has shown like a few glimpses of, I remember the way Ferguson used to talk about Ravel Morrison and how he used to say as a natural talent that kid was and everything else. And, he came to us and we saw flashes of that brilliance that he used to deliver and that Ferguson was talking about. We used to see that. We used to see it all the time. And now for me, in much the same way with Benrahma, is we're seeing flashes of this absolute, this fantastic. I'm trying to think of a player that I could compare him to. Gascoigne-esque style, skill with the ball, Joe Cole-esque kind of player. We're seeing glimpses of it. We're seeing flashes of this brilliance. What I want now is the consistency to follow that. I need to see more of these flashes of brilliance 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times in a game. I don't want to see it once or twice. I want to see it, 3 or 4 times in a half. So I really hope this is where he pushes on. This is where I hope that he finds that monkey is now off his back and he just goes with it. I really believe that he can. And what we'll see now is what everyone has wanted, what certain people have piped on around, the sort of player he can be. I really hope now that Benrahma pushes on, continues this with confidence, continues this with consistency. We see the best of Said Benrahma for me. That's now what I want to see. And I really hope that that's what comes through just after that goal.
Yeah. Just want to sort of wind back 2 comments that have just come in. One from Milesy. Hang on, let me just get it up. Not anything. I'm not anything pervy. Just the comment before anyone jumps in and says, twisting my words. Someone with a goal-scoring brain. Odebeko needs to be put on chasing a game. He will stay in the box. Doesn't matter how it goes in. He will have chances, in my opinion. And again, I rewind back to what I said earlier. For me, yesterday, the last 10 minutes or thereabouts was the equivalent of a game where you need 3 points to stay up. 1-1 isn't good enough. So for me, I just think at that point, you might as well just say, let's throw caution to the wind here, guys. Let's try and get the 3 points. And if by trying to get the 3 points, we leave ourselves vulnerable at the back and we concede and it goes 2-1. Do you know what? We were going down anyway. For me, this was roughly the equivalent of that. And so why was Elderbecko not used?
Well, you know what? I can agree with what Miles has just said there, mate. You know, it doesn't matter how it goes in, it goes in. As you and Miles, you know, I played my first game of 11-a-side football this morning for 12 years. 12 years since I last played competitive 11-a-side, well, any kind of 11-a-side football. We were 2-0 up. It got to 2-2. We won it. We won it 3-2. Our striker chested it past the goalkeeper. Doesn't matter how it goes in. He literally chested it home. Wasn't the greatest of finishes. I think he would agree with that. But you know what? It went in and we won 3-2. So I completely agree with Molesy. Keep pumping balls into the box. And not being funny, we've seen what Stufal can do with a low, hard cross into the box. We've seen what, say, Ben Rama can do with that wonderful... It's all right, not the end of the world. We've seen what Ben Rama can do with a decent cross into the box. And, you know, just a ricochet is all it would need off of a Souček header down and a toe poke from Elderbecko. Job done. But we didn't do that last night. And I think, you know, those last 5 minutes would have been perfect for it.
I've got this one for you to get your teeth into, Jazz, from Alex. Team's not good enough for European football. One summer window isn't going to fix an ageing defence. I got to be honest and say, hand on heart, I think he's right. What do you think?
I'm going to say something controversial. I don't think our board, our money, they're not good enough for David Moyes. I tell you that right now. His ambitions, what he wants to do with this club, he ain't going to get it from David. You can't change a squad. You know, we really need to put a lot of money into that squad. All the mistakes that have happened previously, we need to fix them quick. And, you know, people like, you saw Creswell in the back four yesterday. He was kind of iffy half the time. Kufal and Souček are good, but there's a lot of work we need there. A lot of work, a lot of support. You know, training ground, I keep going on about it. I don't know how we can improve on this season, next season, unless something really big happens in the window. I can't see it, mate. Because a lot of these players like Souček and Rice, they're going to get injured more and more. And you know, playing that kind of position with no backup. It's a kind of thing where we need 4 or 5 players, but we can only bring in maximum one or two. If Lingard comes in, I think that's nearly all the money gone, mate. And you might have
he's probably going to have to go into the free market, isn't he, Jazz? He's probably going to have to get Bosmans here and there.
Exactly.
But there's plenty out there, Gatesy, on Bosmans that are good enough, as far as I'm concerned. There are plenty out there that are good enough, and I'm not being funny. We had the opportunity. We had the opportunity to go out there and get a Bosman striker after the window closed. You know,
the only thing with a Bosman, though, Duke, is that the players generally, because they know they're not coming in with a fee attached to them, they negotiate a really high signing on fee and a fairly hefty wage. So although they're a free transfer, they're not free.
Still should have done it though, Gatesy. And for me, I'm not being funny. I know. Listen, I know people. He has his bashes, he has his haters, but for me, I like the look of Sturridge. I would have bought him in. He was on a freebie. When him and who was the other?
Him and Diego Costa, Diafra Ahmed Musa.
Oh, no, I would have all day long got. I would have gone after Sturridge all day long. I would have gone after Sturridge. I personally think we missed the boat.
I bet you anyway, though, Sullivan wouldn't have sanctioned it. That's the only thing. I don't think Sullivan would have sanctioned it because of the, you know, Carroll, because of Wilshere, you know, other players that we've bought with questionable injury records. I think he'd have gone,
6
no
months.
Thanks.
6 months. I wouldn't have given it 6 months.
I think the opposite. I think Sullivan would have loved it. These are typical players that you used to love at the end of their careers. But I think we would have had the upper hand because I think Sturridge was desperate. So we could have negotiated a reasonable deal. And then we would have said, if you prove to us, then in the summer we can give you something a bit more. And he had nothing else to fall back on. And going back to Dukesy, I agree. When he used to be in full flow, I used to absolutely love playing Sturridge. He used to be such a skillful, you know, like he's floating on ice, the way he used to control the ball and link it all up and nearly won the league in that season. Love Sturridge at his pomp, at his best, you know. So, like you said, if we didn't have anyone else, then I would have just brought him in. I mean, what you got to lose? You give him a reasonable 4 or 5 month deal, and we got at least it's like you said, you got something on the bench, haven't you? After 70 minutes, you bring Surridge on. He can sort of link things to play, but yeah, it's all about hanging on into that 7th place now, mate, and see what happens around us. And yeah, I'm not going to say anything. I don't know where we're going to finish. It's very tight now, very, very tight.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned it earlier, and he's playing as we speak, I believe. In fact, yeah, it was Alex. I think it was mentioned by someone else as well earlier in the chat as well, in fairness. But Mateus Pereira, should we be looking at a player like that? I mean, there's 3 teams that have been relegated. Now, I know you could turn around and go, well, they're relegated. Well, their players are going to be crap. But, you know, you can have some good players in teams. I mean, there's been some good players down the years that have been relegated from the Premier League and gone on to have a fantastic career, haven't there? So, Pereira, Burge, Tosin from Fulham. You know, there's some players there that surely we should be looking at, isn't there?
I still like Mitrovic. I still like him.
Yeah. Burge won't come up. Burge. The Sheffield United are going to ask for too much money now. Apparently, there might be some sort of clause in there that he can leave for a little bit less. I'm not 100% sure. Don't get me wrong. But apparently there might be a clause that allows him to leave for a little bit, but they're going to demand 45 million quid or something for him. I think, you know, Mitrovic, you know what, Jaz, mate, I love him. He's an arsehole. He's a bastard, and I love it. I think he's one of them players that would come in. He's a bully, and I just think he'd come in and do a job for us. I think it'd be good.
Do you think there's any chance of those Arnie rumours coming back up again about him coming back, Arnie?
Yes,
I don't know.
I do.
You know,
I do.
Keep an eye.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Now, I was asked to do a 60-second video for Ian, who does Hammers Polls. He's got a new YouTube channel out called West Ham Shorts. If you haven't seen it, guys, have a look. It's half decent. And one of the videos, he literally asked me to do a 60-second video on Arnautovic. And I'll be honest with you, before I heard Mark Noble on the Peter Crouch podcast, I am on record on several different platforms. When someone said about Arnautovic, my default response was I'd rather shit into my hands and then clap. But here's where it changed. When I listened to the Peter Crouch interview, or the Mark Noble interview on the Peter Crouch podcast, excuse me, because I had this impression that he left him, you know, in under a bit of a cloud, and that he would, if he came back in, he would upset the team dynamic, which is really important as far as I'm concerned. So I was like completely against it. No way, forget it. But Mark Noble reckons that he's still in contact with Marko Arnautovic. He's still friendly with Marko Arnautovic. The players are still friendly with Marko Arnautovic. And we know that Moyes wasn't the manager when he walked out the door. Pellegrini was. So he's still got a good relationship with Moyes, who's the guy that changed him. And I said that provided, and this is the caveat, provided it could be done on a sensible financial package. So we're not paying stupid money for this guy because he's 32 now. And provided he could make his peace with both the fans and the hierarchy, because he's going to have to eat some humble pie as far as the guys upstairs are concerned. If this all comes to pass, the question that I ask myself is, does he make the squad that we've got right now stronger? And for me, the answer is yes, he does. So should it happen? It makes sense. But as I say, there's a couple of caveats there. I'm not saying roll out the red carpet. I'm not saying welcome him back with open arms. There's some catches here. But would I be completely against it? Do you know what? Now that I know that he probably wouldn't be upsetting the team dynamic and the players would welcome him back, it kind of makes it a bit easier.
He would walk straight into the team for me up front, mate. He would go straight in there. And we sold him for what, 25? if we can do a deal for around 13, 14 million, job done, mate.
I would bring him back at the drop of a hat. Moyes knows him. Moyes admires him. You know, the way Noble was talking about him, Gatesy, I just think, you know, he'd be welcomed back with open arms by the players. And I don't think that. I think Moyes won't take the shit from his brother that you know, Pellegrini had to deal with. You know, for me, Moyes would turn around and tell the brother to go himself. If it's the right deal, and I think
Thing is, it's difficult, isn't it? Family ties.
Listen, I know, but I think Arnautovic respects Moyes as well. So, you know, I think if Moyes had still have been in charge, Arnautovic wouldn't have gone to China, because I think Arnautovic respects Moyes and would respect Moyes' take on the whole situation. So, listen, as Kent has just touched on there, as long as it's on a normal Premiership wage, then yes, I think it's a no-brainer. I would personally, I'd offer him an incentive-based deal, and you've got to be looking at the likes of you know, 30 grand a week basic wage. If you start, is another 15. If you score a goal, is 5. If you score two goals, is 15, etc., etc. And you bump that wages from being a basic 25 grand a week wage. And Casey, I want to do a video on this. Maybe we'll do this Tuesday, actually, in and around kind of Premier League wages and wage bills and incentivized wages for players, because I think it will cut out a lot of this, the likes of the Wilshere Carroll situations that we found ourselves in. But if we could bring Arnautovic back on a, you know what, like I say, 30 grand a week basics, and then we're looking at you know, incentive based, goals scored, assists, man of the match, starts, benches, etc., that he bumps his wages up through that. What you're going to see is a guy putting in the effort to earn his money. Not being funny, he's on 300 grand a week in China, I think, and he's getting that for doing absolutely jack diddly squat. You know, to turn up, put boots on, walk around the pitch for 90 minutes, do absolutely cool, and still get his wages. Well, if he wants to earn 150 grand a week here, he needs to have a basic wage, and then he needs to score a hat trick, and he needs to get a man of the match, and he needs to complete 90 minutes, and he needs to put in a couple of assists. That if he wants those big wages, they need to be earned. So that's it. Listen, drop of a hat. Same with Sturridge. We should have done the same thing with Sturridge. You know, that's the way I see it. That's the way I would like to see us go. Not anyone else. Afternoon top. I'd like to see us go with that kind of that way. You could have seen us. We certainly wouldn't have paid Lucas Neal, you know, close to, what was it, 75 grand a week at the time when, you know, almost, you know, I think the Lucas Neal wages actually bankrupted Iceland, didn't they? So,
caused the volcano to erupt, I remember.
I think literally, mate, I'm telling you now. Well, you know what? The fact that Lucas Neal's wages bankrupt Iceland caused the volcano to erupt. It also stopped Sam Allardyce signing Robert Lewandowski for Blackburn. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for that volcano.
Dear, oh dear. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to get it back on track, because obviously I'm mindful. I mean, we're talking about transfers in the summer and all the rest of it, but I'm just going to get it back on track, because I did have this comment up from Scott, and this is focusing on yesterday's match. Yes, and I think he's on to something. If Bowen or Ben Rama were Lingard last night, they would have both been pulled off after the hour mark. And I got to be honest with you, Scott, if you're still watching, do you know what? You make a really valid point, in my opinion. Boys, over to you.
I think that's with every manager. I don't think you should single out David for that. Every manager's like that. Mourinho, they all got their favourites. So you can't really single him out for that. I mean, what they always say is obviously Lingard's got some points in the bag, and he's done well already, where Benrahma hasn't. So Benrahma's got to prove it yet, whereas Lingard has more or less done half okay. So he's got those things
But
in the
at what
bag.
point, Jazz?
Yeah.
At what point is that credit in the bank, if you will, exhausted? Because for me, he's now had 5 consecutive games where he's been somewhere between ordinary and poor. Now, at which point does it have to go into a 6th game, a 7th game? We've got 2 games left on his current loan deal. Can he play the next 2 games and just know that he's going to play no matter what? Is that where we're at?
I would switch
No
him.
different to Antonio, though, Gates.
Yeah. I would switch him. I would play Lingard up front, Antonio behind, and put both of them together up front. I don't think you can play Antonio up front, Lingard behind. It's just not working. They're not linking up. So we can't carry on then that way. It's not working, isn't it?
Lingard up top, Benrahma behind the 4 nails, Bowen. Listen, at the end of the day, Gatesy, I'll go in on this now as well. And I agree with what Jazz says. You know, Mourinho had his favourites at Chelsea. He had his Lampards and his Terrys. So Terry could do no wrong in Mourinho's eyes, even after the whole whole telling Anton Ferdinand what his favourite flavour of fruit shoot was. You know, Moyes came out and defended him. Mourinho came out and defended Terry. Now, it was blatantly obvious what John Terry said, yet Mourinho came out and with his arm around Terry, you know. So Mourinho had Terry and Lampard as his favourites. You know that at Arsenal, Arsene Wenger had Thierry Henry as his favourite. Now, listen, I'm not comparing these guys in terms of their performances or in terms of just how good these guys are. I'm just saying that, as Jazz mentioned, every manager does have his favourites. You know, Lou Macari would have had his favourites. You know, John Lyle had his favourites. You know, you could go on, as you know, at the moment, you know, at Dortmund, you know, Tuchel, he didn't value Mario Götze. You know, Mario Götze that won the World Cup for Germany a couple of years beforehand. He didn't rate him in the same way that, you know, that some people think Moyes is with Benrahma. Tuchel was with Mario Götze. Mate, I'd take Mario Götze on phenomenal wages right now. I think he's an outstanding player.
He's had a few injuries, though, hasn't he?
Mate, I couldn't care less. I still think he's better than everything that we've currently got. Honestly, I think he's outstanding. And he's coming towards the latter stages of his career. And it's probably still only about 28. But you know, every manager has their favourites. And Lingard is obviously a favourite of Moyes, but I completely agree, and I would. It's frustrating because Lingard wasn't fantastic in these last few games that we've had, and it's not. I'm going to ignore that. If you're booking to call it the booker table, guys at the board, I do apologise. You know,
it's pissing down with rain. You're going to get wet.
Yeah, leave off where. Yeah, it's frustrating, Gatesy, because I would have liked to have seen him come off, and like Miles said, could have stuck on a Becco and just said to him, staying around that 12-yard box. I don't want you coming deep. Get up there, play alongside Antonio. Let's, you know, just stick a toe out when the ball's ricocheting in the air. It's going to end up in the back of the net. It don't matter. But Basuma last night, scumbag. Absolute scumbag last night. Oh, mate.
He was on and off. It was.
He got away with a lot due to that early yellow.
Yeah.
He was horrible.
Here's one from Dill. I mean, Dill mentioned this. He had a post up earlier, right? Again, I'll go back, you know, because when I said this about Antonio as well, you know, if Antonio knows he's going to play, and Lingard probably does as well. That is not a healthy dynamic. That really is not a healthy dynamic to have players that know that it doesn't really matter what happens. So long as they're fit, they're going to play. That shouldn't be where we're at, should it?
No, it's frustrating. We're a better side than that. And for me, listen, neither of them, none of those, and I'll include Ben Rama in this. Despite the goal that he scored last night, none of those front four have covered themselves in glory recently.
Nope.
When you consider how Ben Rama and Lingard linked up against Villa, when you consider how well Antonio did against Burnley, everything else that he did wasn't fantastic. Those front four haven't covered themselves in glory. And the frustrating thing is, bar Rice and Suchek, they're probably our best players creatively. And we're getting nothing out of them. We're really getting nothing out of them.
Okay, I'm coming close to the point where I'm going to wrap this up, gentlemen. I'm going to go to Jazz first of all. We've obviously discussed the match, and obviously you've articulated your thoughts on that. Putting that to one side for the minute, even if we don't win the next two games, which I think is unlikely that will happen, this has still been a good season, right?
Yeah, it's been a good season because I don't want to forget what my initial aspirations were, which was 15th and above. I didn't want to go into the last 3 weeks not knowing if we're going to go down or not. So I've got to stick to that. That's what I said at the beginning. 15th and above was a bonus for me. And having after Christmas, then I said 7th. I felt we would finish 7th because I knew the squad and I knew the teams below us going to catch us up sooner or later. They're just too good to be down there. So I think it's been good. It's been good, yeah, with a little bit of frustrations. But, yeah, we smashed the, my target anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Onwards and upwards it has to be. Duke, season's been a success though. Put yesterday to one side. Put the fact that that's probably almost certainly our Champions League aspirations in the bin. But this is still been probably. I haven't said definitely, Duke. I know you're giving me that look. But let's be honest. You wouldn't bet your mortgage on it.
No, but then I wouldn't have done that at the start of the season either. As Jay said,
you might have done it 2 or 3 games ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more with what Jay said. You know, at the end of the day, if back in August, September time, you turn around and said to me, by the way, with 2 games to go, you're still mathematically going to be in with a shout of Champions League football, I would have ripped your arm off and beaten you to death with it. Because, or I would have had you committed.
Oh, hang on.
As far as I'm concerned.
Charlie's in the chat. Charlie,
do you
want to come on, mate? I'll tell you what. I'm because Charlie.
I mean,
just for you.
Just agree with that.
You carry on chatting, Duke. I'm gonna send him an invite.
It's been a fantastic season, and I'd rather be at this end of the table with 3 games to go. Rather be at this end of the table with 3 games to go now to that, you know, we're still there. We're still fighting in any kind of European football. We're still there and fighting for. I'd rather be that than going down to the last game where we need a point to stay up. So,
100%.
Yeah.
Regardless of an 8th place finish, a 6th place finish, a 4th place finish, or anywhere in between, regardless, David Moyes has worked let me rephrase that. David Moyes and his backroom team, the coaching staff, all of them, have worked absolute fucking wonders with this playing squad this season to have got us in contention of any kind of European football. Regardless of what happens in these next 2 games, regardless.
Hello, sorry, you caught me mid peeling an orange. Get excited for that. Yeah, no,
I you mate. That stigma.
I say orange. It's probably it's a what do you call it? A clementine. So
clementine. Oh, even I've got it wrong.
Oh, it's an easy peeler clementine. Listen, I'm a high roller. Okay, Gatesy, you know this. Just getting vitamin C, by the bucket load. Or I say by the bucket load, by the orange load. Yeah, no, I think it's been an unreal season. Like
Yeah.
I think what Jazz said about wanting to finish 15th and stuff, or not wanting to finish 15th, that sort of being the goal, not only is very true, but at all points, every team will go through some sort of period of struggle. Even Man City, who have won the league this season, at the beginning were trash. Like, they were rubbish. Like, they were bad for a long period of time. Everyone will always...
wasn't they?
Yeah, I can't even remember.
10th.
They were really bad for a hot minute there. And then you see every team goes through a point. It just sucks that it happens to be happening right now. Like, it happening now is the worst time for it to happen, because it feels like this sort of deflated, we can use the word bottle, but I don't look at it like that. I look at the season as a whole, and I think this has been an unreal from start to finish. And even in this bad period, we still rocked up and gave Burnley an absolute hiding and looked brilliant while doing it. Like, we've had an unreal season, and I think we shouldn't. I think often as football fans, we get distracted by the idea of like singular emotions. Like, you have to be really upset and really angry because of the way it's been going recently. But you can be disappointed that we haven't maybe got to the Champions League, but still think we've had one of the best seasons we've had in a long, long time. And I think that's a huge credit. You look at like someone like Lingard, who's not playing very well. He's been unreal for a huge amount of time. And we can all say, flipping hell, what a signing he was. All of these things, you know, it just sucks that it's happening right now. But in the grand scheme of things, 10 years down the line, we're probably not going to remember how it completely crumbled at the end. It will come up in conversation, but the chances are it's going to be more likely that we're going to go, do you remember the Tottenham game? Do you remember the Wolves game? Do you remember this game? Do you remember that game? All of these amazing games we had. That's going to be what we remember. I've loved this season. I thought it's been brilliant. Also, shout out to Oranges. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, I'm doing my little bit for you, Charlie. Look what I've done.
I appreciate it.
There you go.
Well, I mean,
I have been.
Nothing doesn't benefit me, but it benefits Hammers Chat, so I appreciate it regardless.
Yeah, no, listen. If it benefits Hammers Chat, then as far as I'm concerned, all well and good. So, not a problem. But hang on, just as I want to wrap this bloody stream up, what's going on here?
I've got tables to screw back together, Gatesy. That's my problem.
I'll let you have your say.
On what's my say on just in general or the season? Is it?
I think we've covered off yesterday.
Yeah, we
on the season. Let's try and finish it on a positive note.
Oh, it has to be positive. Like, we don't get many opportunities to be this happy for as long as we have been. Like, I feel so just pissed off and down today and last night over a draw, which is something we usually would be happy enough with. We just have to be happy with what we've got and keep hoping. There's still 2 games left. Anything can happen. Just any form of Europe and we'll be flying. Like, that's the goal. And whatever happens, it has been a great season. We just have to be really happy with what we've got so far. But like, as we can feel it from today, imagine if we had to go through this. Like, there's not been many a weekend we've been feeling like this, and we have to be thankful for that. So hopefully there'll be less of them during the summer. We'll just have to sort of look back on it and say we enjoyed the ride and enjoyed the good times, and hope it happens again and becomes a more consistent thing.
Look who's just turned up.
Oh no.
Yo, come on, man. Come on, man. Yo, if Charlito's in the building, if Kaz is in the building, Peach is in the blood clot building, dog. I ain't playing. What's up, y'all?
Yeah,
we're good, mate. I adore the fact Peach says he's in the building while literally standing outside. You've got to respect it. You've got to respect
Listen, if Peach says he's in the building, Charlie, I ain't arguing with him.
Yo, you gotta respect that, like some vitamin C things, dog. How do you mean, dog? I ain't playing, dog. Like, yo,
big plays,
real things, man. Real things, yo, man. Like, are we fits on the bottom or fits from the top? Everybody put a smile on their face, dog. Like, yo, we're living the dream and we don't even know it, man. We got caught up in some dreamland things, but yo, a man can dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Peach. Even if we don't get another point this season, as I've said to the boys, it's still been a success, hasn't it? I know we've been disappointed with what happened yesterday, but the season in its entirety,
it has been absolutely brilliant, man. Like, Who would have thought after Newcastle and Arsenal we'd be talking about the talks we're talking about right now? Really, like it. I know I've been typing on like top 4 things all season, but you know what? I'm happy no matter where we finish this. I think we've done the biz, man. We've done the biz. West Ham has done the biz.
Good. We're going to end it on a positive note as much as we can. However, I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to do the usual thing to finish off, gentlemen, because as I say, I want to finish this broadcast fairly promptly. And thank you, all of you guys that have jumped in at the 11th hour to have your little contribution, if you will. For those of you watching, those of you at home, guys, this is in the link below the video. This little girl needs our help, young Isla Caton. She's a 6-year-old girl battling against neuroblastoma, for which she can't get any treatment on the NHS. So in the middle of this pandemic, her family have got to stop what they're doing, put this little girl on a plane, take her to wherever it is in the world that she's going to get the treatment to save her life. And living costs, the bills in the UK are still coming in, right? This family need our help. No ifs, no buts, period. You've got the PayPal, you've got the Just Giving. Help us out. Help this family out, okay? Every day that goes past is critical to this little girl. We need to come together. It's as simple as that. And I don't really care whether you're West Ham fans, football fans, or not. It really doesn't bother me. If you've got a couple of quid that you can put into this pot to make a difference to this family, to make a difference to this little girl, do it. Whether it's £1, whether it's £10, whatever, do it. And copy and paste what we've got in the banner under this video and put it on your social media. Put it on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, put it on your WhatsApp, send it to friends, send it to family, whatever. Don't care. Don't care. We got to try and get the momentum behind this, guys, because this little girl is struggling. This little girl is struggling. She needs our help. So let's come together and let's do some good, people. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Right. On that note, gentlemen, I'm going to say thank you to Peach for turning up.
Yo, you know what? You know what, dog? Yo, you know what, dog? You see that man right there?
Yep.
You see that man right there? Homeboy's looking good, dog. Looking healthy, dog. Straight up, man. Big up yourself, dude. Big up.
What one game of football does to him. Look at him thriving. He's glowing.
Listen, I'll tell you now, both my hamstrings went like Mikel Antonio's earlier, I tell you. Christ. Charlie, if you didn't know, first game of 11 club football in 12 years.
Having like 100 years, dog.
Hang on a minute. I've just had before I go any further, I've just had someone that says they want to come into the green room. I'm just going to go on. Hang on, just wait there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah.
It's health and safety. You can't let any more in.
Oh, what's he doing now?
Are we insured for more than 6 people?
It's all done. Yeah, it's all done.
Oh, Gatesy, they're on mute. Oh, where they gone? Oh, they've left.
Who's that?
I'll add them back in.
To you. Hello. Jiffy wants to tell you something, Mr. Dookie. We're fucking massive!
What is going on? What is going on?
Wait, the only boy. Where's Fat Boy for
so
you?
much. It hurts.
Sorry, what was that?
So
what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss?
Oh, shut up.
I'm having you committed, Gatesy. I'm having you committed.
Listen, none of us are getting out of life alive, so just smile while you're here. Simple as that.
What's he doing, Peach?
Peach is having a random chat with some Peach.
Yo, I'm getting kicked out of this place. I gotta go somewhere else now.
Thanks to Cahill for joining us from Ireland.
Big up, Gaza. How are you in?
I can't do this anymore.
Directing traffic.
Thanks for joining us, Charlie.
Yeah, no worries. Good to be on.
Big up, Charlito. Big up, Charlito. How are you in?
Thanks to you, Jazz.
No problem.
Always
mate.
a pleasure to have you
Big
on.
up, Gaza.
And thank you to Duke. for being my co-pilot and putting up with this nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know anymore, honestly. Every time I come on one of these shows, my life flashes before my eyes. Like, I don't know what's going to happen anymore.
And
we suddenly become an 80s TV show.
And that's the beauty of it.
It's true.
Guys,
it's true.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Stay safe. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons. Are you in?